The final step is to post the prepayment adjustment journals. To post the monthly prepayment adjustments, I'm going to do it as a journal, so we need to go into nominal codes and then journal entry. So we enter a reference, let's say rent, and we need to post the adjustment to the first period to which the expense relates. So in this case, the rent covered January, February and March. So we'll just date that back to January, enter the nominal code. Now we're going to transfer the balance from our prepayment nominal code, which is 1103. We'll enter the details of rent, T9 tax code, remember non-vatable T9, so we're just transferring a balance from one nominal code to another. We're going to credit that nominal code with the monthly balance or the monthly expense that we want to transfer across to our rent nominal code, and then we specify our rent nominal code. Now remember, F6 copies it down, or you can click the button at the top of that, the copy cell above, F6, T9 tax code, and £1,000 this time in the debit column. Just double check everything's right and then we'll save it. Now what we'll quickly do before we start looking at the reports and see the impact that that's had is we'll quickly post the other prepayment adjustments for months 2 and 3 as well. So let's just quickly enter those. It's exactly the same journal other than the date's going to be different. So this time I'm going to date this one in February and we'll just quickly enter it. Again, £1,000, specify our rent nominal code, F6, £1,000. Double check everything, looks okay, we'll save it. Final adjustment, let's just type that right, try it again. So rent, pop in the posting date, so this time it's going to be March. Now as long as you post to the right period, it will be picked up on your profit and loss report correctly. So I could choose any date within March and that would work fine. However, you'll tend to find that you will post these adjustments on the last day of the month. So the final one, credit that with £1,000 and we want to debit our rent nominal code. Everything looks okay, we'll save it and that's it complete. Now if you're entering a prepayment for the current period, obviously I'm backdating in my example, but if you're doing it for the current period, you can still do those prepayment adjustment journals in advance of the period to which it relates. So if I'd entered my purchase invoice in September for instance, we'd reversed it out, I could have then done the monthly adjustments for September, October, November. They will just be picked up on the profit and loss report and the balance sheet reports as and when we hit that period. Okay, so we've done the 3 monthly journals. Let's have a quick look at our reports just so we can see what they now look like. So we'll run it for month 1 only. And this time, if we zoom in a little bit to make things a little bit clearer, we can see in the period column we've only got £1,000 worth of expense, and the same for our year to date. Now remember, when we first entered the purchase invoice only, all of the expense was accounted for in that one period. So we now only got £1,000 for rent, which is the expense that relates to that period. If we quickly run it again, this time we'll run it for February only. And again in the period column, which is picking up February transactions only, we've got that £1,000 of expense that relates to that period. Year to date, we've now got the £2,000, so January and February added together. Just to finish off, we'll quickly run the profit and loss one more time. We'll run it for March only. Let's maximise that and zoom in. And again you can see £1,000 of expense to the period to which it relates, and this time £3,000 in that year to date. So rather than have all of that expense in one period, then nothing in the subsequent periods, we've now got it so it's much more even. We've associated the expense to the relevant periods. One final report we'll run is the balance sheet, just so you can see that one. And we'll run it for January only. Now what we should have for January only, and don't get confused by this, if we have a look at our debtors, just expand that one, and what we'll see for prepayments is at the end of the period, so at the end of January we've got a £2,000 worth of prepayment, so £1,000 of the £3,000 has already been transferred back to the profit and loss. So we're left with a £2,000 worth of prepayment. Obviously at the end of February that will go down to £1,000 worth of prepayment, which we push across into the profit and loss in the subsequent period. Okay, so that's the demonstration complete. Hopefully you have a much better understanding of posting prepayments, why you post them, and also how you go about posting those in your accounts.